Coming up on today's show, we're going to break down the idea of the New York Knicks trading RJ Barrett and a couple of first-round picks for Brandon Ingram, because our buddies over at NBA Analysis, they put out a trade idea that highlighted just that. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive right into it. This was the trade idea that they proposed. The Knicks, they would receive Brandon Ingram, while the New Orleans Pelicans would receive RJ Barrett, a 2026 first-round pick from the Knicks. I'm going to assume that's unprotected because it doesn't say it has any protections, as well as one in 2028, and then a first-round pick swap in 2029. Before we dive any deeper into today's show, I want you to go down in the comments section, put on your general manager hat, and let me know, would you make this trade? Would you trade RJ, 2 firsts, and a pick swap for Brandon Ingram? Type A for accept, type D for decline. It's going to be the pinned comment on today's video. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. So while the ad plays, scroll on down and let me know, would you do the deal? This is a very hard decision for me. I think a lot of people know where I stand on RJ Barrett as a player. But right now, I'm going to have to decline this deal. And there's a couple of reasons why. I understand, and I know that Brandon Ingram is a better basketball player than RJ Barrett right now. 2 first-round picks, though, and a pick swap. To my knowledge, you cannot trade a pick swap. Could be wrong, and if I am, I will be corrected. But losing control of 3 of your own draft picks is too much for me. And I will echo that sentiment with this. You don't want to blow your load too early. I said it. I meant it. You don't want to go and trade for Brandon Ingram when you may be able to trade for Joel Embiid 2 months later, but you won't be able to because the Brandon Ingram trade package takes you out of that running. We'll go to that in a second. Let's go to this. The question you have to ask yourself when you're deciding if you want to make this deal or you don't is this. Does Brandon Ingram make the New York Knicks an NBA Finals contender? I'm not talking about a team that can advance to the conference final. You only trade 2 first-round picks and a pick swap if you think that elevates your team to a legit NBA Finals contender. Can Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, Emmanuel Quickley, Isaiah Hartenstein, all the boys, can those guys win a chip? I'm not going to say no. I don't know if it makes them the favorites, though, and that's kind of my point here. Another thing that's a little bit interesting to me, the struggles that Brandon Ingram is having at Team USA right now. He was the starter. Then he had been the least effective player for Team USA. He was put on the bench. Josh Hart goes into the starting lineup, and for the past 2 games, Josh Hart has had the best plus-minus of any player on Team USA. Hasn't been able to be a consistent shooter and just hasn't found a way to affect the game with a bunch of good other players around him. And I wonder, playing next to Brunson and Randall, who really have to have the ball a lot, can he find a way to be effective? I'm sure he can, but Team USA scares me a little bit. Also this, the biggest problem I have with Brandon Ingram, because it's not about hoops. The dude's a baller. He's one of the best bucket getters in this league, no doubt about it. It's injuries. It's availability. Over the last 5 years, Brandon Ingram averages just 55 games played. There's 82 games in a season. Do I want to go all in for a player that misses, on average, 27 games? Seems a bit risky to me. Then you look at your stats and you're like, well, maybe that might be worth the risk, because the guy gets you 25, 5 and 5, 48.4% from the deck, 39% from 3. There's not many players walking this planet right now that can do the types of things that the 6'10" wing Brandon Ingram can do. Underrated playmaker, no doubt about it. Shoot, he's an underrated bucket getter. 24.7 on 49% from the deck and 39% from 3. Those are elite offensive numbers. But I am worried a little bit about his defense. He's not a good defender. He's actually a putrid defender. And I think that's a big part as to why he has been taken out of the main rotation for Team USA. Another thing, which we mentioned a second ago, don't take yourself out of the running for a real superstar by trading for a star. Because I do believe that Brandon Ingram is a star. But I think, have you seen one of those memes where it's like a picture of 2 guys and one guy is digging through the bottom of the ground and then he turns around right before he gets to the treasure chest under the ground? But he only had to go 1 more foot. But he said, you know what? I'm done with this. And I think that might be what happens if you trade for Brandon Ingram. Because if you trade 2 first-round picks unprotected of your own first-rounders and a pick swap, you can only trade 1 more unprotected first-round pick. And that would take you out of the running for a guy like Joel Embiid if he ever becomes available. A guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo if he ever becomes available. Don't rush to make a trade for a player unless you truly believe he makes you a finals contender. And I think Ingram might, but I do have my concerns a little bit. If we get any more news or rumors about Brandon Ingram or the New York Knicks or any player that the Knicks trade for, we are going to break it down on this channel, and I don't want you to miss it. So go down in the comment section, click the big red button, and subscribe to New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to say this. I just kind of want to give RJ Barrett one more chance. Just one more chance. I kind of want to give it to him. I think I don't even know if earned it is the correct word, but we've talked about it. He's been great at different things in every single season of his career. Sometimes he's been a great defender. Sometimes he's been a good knockdown three-point shooter. I mean, in 2020, the guy shot 40% from 3. Do I ever think he's going to be a career 40% three-point shooter? No. But if RJ ever gets up to 36, 37%, that is a winning piece in this league. And I like how he took his game to the playoffs in another level. I have concerns about his game. I have concerns about his lateral movement on the defensive side of the court. I have concerns about if he ever is going to be an elite finisher with the amount of rim runs that he has. I'm concerned if he ever makes teammates better. But I kind of think that he's going to be having his best season in the NBA this year. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll admit myself if I am. I don't know. And then you saw the 8-game stretch he had in the playoffs. Look, I know I've been called an RJ Barrett hater. I was also called an RJ Barrett apologist last summer when I said I didn't want to trade him for Donovan Mitchell. So I've been on both sides of this fence. And I don't know what to make of it because from Game 3 versus Cleveland to Game 5 versus Miami, there was 8 games. And in those 8 games, RJ averaged 22.5 points per game on 49% from the field and 38% from 3 on 6.3 three-pointers attempted per game. That's good. Those are good numbers. Anybody in the world will say those are good numbers. But it all comes back to this. Consistency, consistency, consistency. We even saw this summer with Team Canada. He has been inconsistent. Had another clunker of a 1 for 10, and it gave me flashbacks of Game 6 of Miami, and I got pissed off all over again. But he is just 23 years old. This is the last time I'm ever saying that. Only 23 years old. Entering year 5. Is he a bust? No. Is he a solid player? Yes. Is he a star? I am not sure. Help me out. Do you believe in RJ Barrett? I go back and forth with producer Steve all the time. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. It's up and down. I'm going to start calling him Roller Coaster Barrett because that's what it's like when you're watching this guy play basketball. Do you believe in the kid? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Also, you know the Raiders Report, the channel that we consistently beat in Super Chats? If you want to see the host Mitchell Renz cry while getting a tattoo, like he cried when we beat him in a Super Chat battle, you can go ahead and watch it. He's getting a tattoo live on the Raiders Report of a Raiders tattoo. Maybe I'll get a Knicks tattoo one day. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. But if you want to see the man cry and get some ink my whole body, I don't give him up. You know the deal if you're a Wiz fan. Go watch the Raiders Report. Watch Mitch get a tattoo. It's pretty cool over there. As always, just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you, and let's go Knicks.